Well, hello there, this is Shane from Shane's Reviews, and I hope you are having a great day today. Today we're going to be talking about yet another novel in a series, which is Meridien, a Silver Ships novel by S.H. Jucha, and it was narrated by Grover Gardner. So, first things first, the production. The production in this was really good. There wasn't a whole lot of anything to take you out of the story. There wasn't somebody trying to read the story that really shouldn't be. Grover Gardner did a great job on the narration on this. He lent a really good voice to a lot of the characters. I like his style of the narration for Alex and a few others, as well as just how clean and crisp his enunciation is whenever it comes to specific things, instead of just rushing through. It's a book that you can, if you listen to them faster than normal, get away with doing it quite well. So kudos to you guys for that. As far as this being another book in a series, I think this is like book 4 maybe? No, I'm sorry, this is book 3. Anyway, the long and the short is, the story overall is really starting to come together. There's been some moving things, but not a whole lot. It's not so much detail that you're like, oh my god. But it's in the way that the characters are wrote. It's in the way that characters use what is given to them by the author in very clever ways. It is in how the story itself is maturing, because this is book 3 after all, and we are actually seeing things like character development, story development, and the story actually to get its own legs, really. We start out with a guy that's just, in the first book, pretty well a scrapper, a junker, because that's what he's having to do to make ends meet. He comes up with a technology. If you remember, maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, there was some scientific articles that were popping up talking about how we were going to use a slingshot to get things into space. And I don't know if this is a reference to that or not, but there's the one that would be in space and then using centrifugal forces to eject something from Earth into space. But this character, he started out as a junker type or a scavenger type, and he comes across this ship, gets attached to the ship, and he makes a bunch of gambles and it pays off for him. Eventually, he ends up finding out that the people that were on the ship had been in hibernation for like 70 years or so, that these were his cousins, literally, because there was the New Terrans and then the Meridians. And both the New Terrans and the Meridians had gotten to where they got because Earth was apparently abandoned or something to that degree. And it's all things that you can make really easy, intuitive loops to. It's one step away from being spoon-fed in the beginning, but I think that's moreover a ploy on the author's part to bring people up to speed on some things, if they weren't aware, to get the story where it can start taking off. So, is it that we've had 2 books of exposition and 2 books of inner thought and 2 books of development to get to this point? Yeah, not really. Not really. I've enjoyed the first 2 and this one just as much, actually more, because we've gone from that point where he was getting started or so, and then then things develop. He ends up getting put in charge, kind of, and becomes the captain. In the next book, he goes from that to being more of like an admiral, and is now in charge and making his own house and doing a bunch of things to kind of get things put into place. It's not like he's had this master plan from the beginning either. It's not like he was sitting there steepling going, ooh, if only. That's not what was happening at all. Instead, it's the mother of necessity, right? He's stepped up at every point that he should have stepped up at. He has just been a good person from the beginning of the story till now. There was a moment of brevity in this book that I really applaud, because I can't remember the last time that a author put a scene into a book just for the joy. It might be because of the stuff that I read inherently, that's not something that gets, used very often. The good old Capitan or Admiral or whatever you want to refer to him as, Alex, his girlfriend slash someone would consider wife, that kind of a setup. She pretty well throws a temper tantrum because he's ignoring everything and not eating. so then he goes on this tyrant about food. So if you read this and you get to the food section, tell me what you think about that, because it had me smiling as I was driving down the road for a solid 30 minutes. Now, the scene isn't 30 minutes long. It's just the idea of that scene was just so... It was needed at that point. And also in my life, I kind of needed that a little bit as well, because I try to enjoy every moment that I can, because moments are short. But it was good to see in this book, because this book is almost like 3 books. It's 14 hours, which really, I mean, considering that's not a long read or a long listen, but there's so much in this one that it's almost like it's got a beginning, middle, and end story with the 3-act phases in each one of those. So it's kind of neat the way that was done, because I really think that this book could have been on its own 3 separate stories, but kudos for not doing that, because getting the entirety of it in one go, it added so much value to this read. So I gotta ask the question, is it worth your time, efforts, and energies, or your money? And I'm gonna say yes. I'm not exactly sure if you hadn't read the first 2, if it would be as prolific to you. I would have figured it out along the way, but I wouldn't have known what I known from the get-go, and who are these Saids, etc. So Scraps, if you would please, we need the award, the clap award. That's right, you get the clap. Every time I say that, it sounds better in my head. But it just gets worse and worse every time I deliver it. But in all seriousness, it's refreshing. It's very, very refreshing to me, because I cannot honestly remember the last time that I've seen somebody care about the characters that they're writing so much, with the exception of maybe Peter Klein's. But anyway, S.H. Jucha, you have done an incredible job with those characters, and thank you for that. Anyway, so moving on along a little bit. This is one of those stories I really don't want to give you a whole lot, but if you have read it, let's start a dialogue, because I've got some postulations and some ideas of where things are going to go, and I'd like to kind of have that conversation. Also, after I finish this and get a little bit of breakfast, because I mean it is before 8 o'clock after all, I think I'm going to try to get caught up on some of the comments so we can have some more shorts going. That would be absolutely excellent, and that should be all for the housekeeping. If you have made it this far, you are my hero. If I've done something in here, or if you've seen something that you've liked in this video, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It does a lot for us. Please hit it. And if you find out or figure out or think or decide later on in life that I'm a complete jerk face, you can always unsubscribe. It won't cost you anything. But beyond that, I don't know which one of the videos you will pick if there are videos coming in, which there should be. But if you pick this one up here, then I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for this. Thank you for going on the journey with us, right? Peace. Bye-bye.